morning, thank you for joining me. I hope everybody's well today. Today, I am doing my top 10 eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to show you them and talk you through them. It's a bit of a niche one, this one, isn't it? I get that not everybody is quite as into eyeshadow palettes and candles as I am, but they make me happy. And it was actually a viewer request, this one. Somebody asked if I could do it, and I sorted them out a couple of weeks ago, found my top 10, and I'm ready to go through them with you. Now, I want to say to start with that probably a lot of these won't still be available, which is a shame. Sorry, I'm looking round because I'm thinking I'm going to need my glasses on for the names. I've just found my glasses. God, they're filthy. Just give them a little bit of a polish on the end of my top. Yeah, some of these probably won't still be available. In fact, the vast majority of them, I suspect, because they're not the newest, they're just my favourites. And they do tend to, all these makeup brands tend to replace things. They don't stay around for ages these days, do they? But I just wanted to talk you through them. And it's a bit of a trip down memory lane, because some of them I discovered are my favourites because they induce happy memories or specific memories, which is nice, isn't it? I'm going to do them in no particular order. I don't have a sort of 10 to 1 or 1 to 10. I'm just going to pick them up and show you as we get them. Sorry, I realise you've got a little bit of glare on there. I hope it's not too distracting. In fact, I'm going to take them off and just put them on as I need them. Let's start with this one. This is a very good value for money palette. This is by Essence and it's called Good Day Sydney. They did a series of these travel palettes with different place names on them, just different cities. And that is what it looks like inside. The reason this makes it into my top 10 is that it's the perfect, without being overwhelming and having too many colours, you can make a really nice neutral look, but you've also got 3 lovely pops of colour. You've got this very lovely sort of turquoisey shimmer there, this beautiful green, which is subtle but like a really nice goldy green, and then a sort of paler turquoise colour as well. So you've got really nice pops of colour, but you've also got these lovely 2 shimmery lid shades there, a nice matte brow bone highlight, something dark enough to put in your upper lash line or use as a liner, and a perfect sort of crease colour here, as well as a bronze down there. So it's just a perfect sort of lots of different looks you can get out of this. You can get a neutral look, a colourful look, and anything in between. And I just like the versatility of it. And also, being Essence, it's super good value for money. So there's that. Anything that is still available, I will link in the description box. The next one I want to talk about is this one, which I think was originally recommended by a viewer. If it was you, let me know in the comments. Who also recommended the sister palette of this. Now, I know that this one is not available anymore. This is by the brand Kat Von D, which is a vegan brand, and it's the Shade and Light Eye Contour Palette, and all the shades in here are they're all mattes. I tell a lie, they are all mattes. I'm not necessarily a very matte loving person. Like a good matte, but I love my shimmers as well, as you know. This is all mattes, but the quality of these eyeshadows, the blendability and the they're such a good neutral palette. There's some good cool tones. I love a cool tone more so than a warm tone, unusually. And there's a black, there's a white, or not quite a white, but almost a white. Just lovely. And a viewer told me that there is a sister palette to this, which is all shimmers, the same shades, but all shimmers. And I also have that now. That had been discontinued, and I ended up having to buy it from a slightly used makeup site, Glambot, in the US, which is a site I find very useful for getting things that I want. And I've got that as well, but this one makes it into my top 10 just because the quality of these shadows is so good. Mr. Matthews is coming up the stairs. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, the cat's here. Mr. Matthews is here. Heavens.
I'm concerned about my wife.
Why are you concerned about your wife?
I fear that she's a convicted shoplifter, because every time I use her Tesco's club card, I'm stopped for a random search.
I haven't been stopped for a random search for ages. He means on the self-checkout, I should add.
Yeah.
Should we get off?
Not a strip search by shop assistants.
If it was that, I'd be worried. Let's move on. The next one is this little palette. I'll try not to blind you. It's gold and it's from the brand Clarins. It is called the Garden Escape Palette, and this was from a spring collection, a limited edition, several years ago. I can't remember how many. Came with a brush, just dropped out. This is what it looks like. Such pretty spring colours. I saw this online and I immediately wanted it, and when my mum and I went up to London several years ago, the year it came out, for our annual January shopping trip, we went to the Clarins counter in, I can't remember if it was Debenhams or House of Fraser or wherever we were at the time, and had a look at it, and I bought it. And not only did I buy it, my mum bought herself one as well, because she just really liked the colours as well. It's not the best quality eyeshadows, the colour payoff isn't brilliant, but it just gives me happy memories of that trip to London with my mum and us both buying the eyeshadow palette. I do still like it and I do still use it, and it does make a very pretty eye look, but in terms of quality it's probably not up there with the very best of them, but it's a happy memory eyeshadow palette which will always evoke that memory of my mum and I buying the same eyeshadow palette on the same day. So that's why that one's in my top 10. Next one is this quite dirty looking, let's be honest, quite dirty looking Laura Mercier palette, and I don't know what this is called because, excuse the noise, Ashley's putting the shopping away. It's one of those filming days where everything's not going to be perfect. This is what it looks like inside. As you can see, this is well used. Ashley's now juggling with potatoes. I think I might just stop this and start again when he's finished putting the shopping away. Now we're going to press on. We'll press on with the background noise. Not always perfect, is it? Life is not perfect. Anyway, this, as you can see, is well used and well loved. This is pretty neutral, this palette, but it's got these beautiful pops of little pink here, and this colour here is like a gold shimmery purple. I've got nothing else like this in my collection. It's really unusual. Let me just swatch that for you. It's got that lovely gold glimmer through it and it's purple. It's just really unusual. I really like it. And then these two colours down here are beautiful, and this pink, shell pink sort of lid shade is beautiful. It's not quite a shimmer, it's more of a satin than a shimmer, and I just really like the finish of it. So that is another one. Well loved, well used, and something that I reach for when I don't want to think too much about what I'm going to put on my eyes. Next, something a little bit newer. This is from Juvia's Place. I'm not sure you can get Juvia's Place in this country. I certainly bought this from America. They do some free shipping to the US days sometimes. And this palette is called the Douce. It says so on the front there. Take my glasses off again. This is what this one looks like. Again, this is like a springtime palette for me. It's got some shades that you go, oh my goodness me, like this pink one obviously is very bright. The quality of these shadows though is perfect. They're so nicely pigmented, so easy to blend. The colours are really unusual. This green down here is lovely. It's like an icy green, and it's actually much more delicate. It's like comes out almost a silvery green when you swatch it. Let me just put that on there. So it's such a nice sort of very delicate silvery green. It actually looks quite a dark green in the pan, so there's some nice surprises in this one. This white up here is almost like a topper shade, and that one comes off very much with a bluey pink tint to it, which I think is really interesting as well. Again, from this one I feel like I can make a really nice neutral look as well as something with a pop of colour. This next one is the Sultry palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Look at that beautiful bronze glittery packaging. This one I think made it into my top 10 because it reminds me of my cruise when we came back from New York on the Queen Mary back in December 2019, before COVID was even a thing. This palette came with me, and it just every time I pick it up, it reminds me of sitting at my little dressing table in my dressing area in my cabin on the QM2, getting ready, dressing up for the evening ahead and doing my makeup. And this is sort of it's very much an evening-y palette. I do feel like the shimmers in this are there's a lot of shimmers, and they are very evening-y rather than daytime looks for me. This rose gold is just beautiful, and this colour down here, Cyborg, is really interesting as well. I haven't got a clean finger to swatch that on, but yeah, some really nice colours in there and some happy memories whenever I look at this palette. Next we have this little silver one, I'm trying not to blind you, by Clinique. This is definitely a limited edition. This is called, one second, hold that thought caller, Wear Everywhere Greys, and I was wanting something with greys, cool toned greys. I wanted some shadows, and I got this. Again, this was a Glambot purchase, and this might look really ordinary and boring, but I love the mixture of greys. I feel like greys really suit my eyes, my eye colour, and I've really enjoyed playing with this palette and using these cool tone greys. And I found it really difficult to find an eyeshadow palette that had these cool tones and lots of different shades of grey in it, and this was what I found, and I very much like it. I reach for this one a lot. Down to the last three, and third from the last is this one. It's Makeup Revolution. There had to be a Makeup Revolution palette in there, didn't there? And this is the Reloaded palette in the shade Deep Dive. I was wanting some colourful eyeshadows. I bought this. This was my very first purchase during the first lockdown. I went on the Revolution site and bought 3 eyeshadow palettes, I think it was, and I wanted blues and greens, and this just fitted the bill perfectly. I have this palette on today on my eyes, and I love the mix of colours. I love that it's got a couple of fairly neutral colours, this sort of shimmery champagne-y gold lid shade, and then a more goldy coloured gold, and then some greys as well. I've got like this silvery shade down here, but the blues and greens are lovely. I love this apple green shade as a sort of transition colour, crease colour, and I've got that on today in my crease, and then I've got, what have I got? I think I've got a mixture of these two on my eyelid, and then I've got this one here in my outer corner and underneath my eye. And again, I feel like blues and greens are very suited to my colouring. I really like them. So yeah, that's another one that I reach for a lot. This one I think made it into my top 10 by virtue of being almost as little as a credit card. Look at how thin that is. It's by Bobbi Brown, and it is called, I'll definitely need my glasses on for this because it's tiny, Rich Brown Eye Palette. I wouldn't say this was rich or brown particularly. That's what the colours look like. There's 8 colours, which is quite impressive for such a little tiny thing, isn't there? And this just does a really nice neutral look. You've got a nice crease colour, you've got a couple of options for your lid in a sort of a satin finish. Bobbi Brown does that satin finish so well, I think, with eyeshadows. You've got a rose goldy colour, you've got a nice pale colour for your brow bone, you've got a really deep dark, very dark chocolatey brown there. You've got chocolatey brown there, and then a sort of cooler toned dark brown, almost a black there, which is great for lining. It's just got everything you need in such a tiny little space, and I think that's quite clever. I really quite like that. That's that one. Finally, and the biggest palette in my top 10, and a fairly new one to me, in fact probably the newest one to me of all the ones in my top 10, which is by BH Cosmetics, which is a fairly new to me brand. I've got a couple of their palettes now, but I'm so impressed for the price that you can get such lovely blendable pigmented shades. It's this big Christmas palette. It's from last Christmas. It's called Ho Ho Holidays. It's got 30 shades in it, and this is what it looks like. It's got everything you could need, and this is in my top 10 despite the fact it's got 2 pressed glitters, one down here and one up there. Don't like pressed glitters at all. I find them very chunky and clunky. I'm not interested in glitter on my eyes. I can't make it look nice. A shimmer, yes, I'm absolutely up for a shimmer, but definitely not a glitter. But I love this. This just has, if you only had one eye palette in your life, this would give you enough options probably for the rest of your life, wouldn't it? Some of them are a bit scary. I don't think I've used this red colour here yet, which is called Rudolph. And I don't think have I used, yeah, I think I have used most other colours. Perhaps not this one down here yet, but all of the others I have, and it's just got some beautiful, beautiful shades in here. It's got this gorgeous one here called Ornaments, that lovely pink colour, perfect eyelid colour. And then this lovely deep green one here, Balsam, that's called. The mattes are just perfect in this palette. I love the mattes in this palette. And this purpley one here, Sugar Plum, that's just beautiful as well. Honestly, I could just swatch every single one and say how lovely they are. That's just me. So I will stop banging on about that one now, but I really have enjoyed using that a lot since I got it. So that is my top 10 eyeshadow palettes. Let me know your favourite eyeshadow palette. Which one do you reach for the most out of everything you've got? Or perhaps you've only got one and you think I'm a bloody nutter having this many. I have, I think, around 50 eyeshadow palettes, and I hold my hands up. It makes me happy to have lots of different eyeshadow options. So why not? Why not? That's it for today's video. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.